Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead Daryl Dixon video. So in this one, I want to talk about episode 6 here. So episode 6 is going to be airing this Sunday, and I will say the whole direction of the season now, I'm very confused by. I guess a lot of the footage that we've seen from like previous trailers and everything was really from the first 5 episodes. Like, there's a couple of scenes I think from episode 6, but I don't know if we have anything from episode 7 yet. So I'm really curious as to how this is all going to end here. Like, what's going to happen next? Because, I mean, obviously there is going to be a season 4, right? And that is the final season. So I'm expecting a cliffhanger in some way. There's going to be a death, I'm assuming, right? There's got to be a big death here. And so who's going to die here in the finale, and how does that set up season 4? And obviously they're filming that right now, and so that's going to build to the ending of the show and, Daryl and Carol leaving Spain and going back to America. So it's kind of cool to see how this is all going to play out. But yeah, I want to talk about episode 6 here. So before we go any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. Now, episode 6, it really looks like it is going to continue Daryl's journey to Barcelona. I really like the fact that we're actually getting a really big storyline like this, because I do think that in terms of, the trips going from this place to this place, that this stuff does need to take place over a couple of episodes, right? And again, I'm not going to bring up the episodes too much. I know that sometimes I can bring them up a lot, but the episode counts, because the episode counts to me, I feel like need to be obviously 16 episodes. I really do believe that, again, maybe 12 episodes works, but I think somewhere around there is just so perfect. Like, there were so many episodes where you can get these, big journey episodes. And sometimes it does get a little boring. Sure. A character would be going here and that the character's not going to be there for a couple of episodes kind of thing. But I think that the way The Walking Dead handled it in season 10 and 11 was pretty good, honestly. They traveled to a lot of places pretty fast. And I think Angela Kang changed a lot of the pacing there, and I think that it worked out really well. I feel like, honestly, the whole episode count thing is really due to the budget of the show. And I think, for when the characters reunite, if they could sort of have a lower budget, I would say, for the show, I think that it would be really incredible. Because I don't think you need anything too crazy for the show, honestly. Yes, the visuals are amazing, and the cinematography of this show specifically is just so incredible. I don't know if it's necessarily needed for good Walking Dead stories, right? I think that if there's a place that you can sort of sacrifice something from, it's that, if you can have more episodes and have a better story, at least in my opinion. But we do see Daryl here, and obviously he runs into Paz here at this point. So I'm assuming this is going to be very early on in the episode, and it's probably going to happen very, very fast here. We're just going to see Daryl traveling. There'll be a reason why he stops, and then he hears somebody obviously showing up here, and then he's wondering, what's going on. Then obviously he realizes it's Paz. And so I'm actually really excited that she's going to be here in the story, because I brought this up the other day, and I thought it was actually, maybe it was after episode 4, but I always thought she was going to have a really big story this season, because based off of the trailers, based off of the promotion and everything, she kind of seemed just based off of the group that she was in, she was the Daryl equivalent, right? She was kind of, more of a loner, just kind of, just stayed to herself and didn't really, do a lot. She protected everyone there. She had, really cool skills and everything in terms of fighting walkers and stuff, and she could really handle her own. And I really felt like, we were going to get a lot more from her. And it looks like in this episode, we actually are. And so I'm so excited for this, to actually have her here. And like she says, you're going to need a tour guide if you want to go to Barcelona. And so I like that, because that makes a lot of sense. I do wonder, as to why. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense. Paz was there in Solaz del Mar, and she could have just went with Daryl, right? But I think it makes sense as to why she ended up finding Daryl. I also do think that they really wanted Daryl to have his own standalone episode, basically, in episode 5, right? So I think there was a lot of that. And so I'm really interested in seeing how they explain her finding Daryl, because Daryl's traveled pretty far. So I'm curious as to how they explain all of that there. I'm sure it'll happen in the episode, but it'll be cool to see Daryl and Paz here actually go to Barcelona and I guess go to this new community here. We actually do see the community here, and this place looks really incredible. I guess this is Barcelona. And so I will say, in terms of the whole Barcelona storyline, it's kind of, it's hilarious, because obviously everyone's thinking Rick Grimes' brother, right? And I don't know if they're ever going to really get into that. We'll have to wait and see where the season goes here, but it's really interesting that they're actually going here. They're going to Spain, and of course they're going to Barcelona, and all of this for sure is a Rick Grimes brother Easter egg, right? Like, they know that everyone's going to be talking about it. Like, is Rick Grimes' brother going to show up here or like whatever, right? And so I'm assuming that that's why, they're going there and not like other places in Spain. And it's kind of a nice Easter egg, to be honest. I mean, it's just cool that we have that connection now in the Walking Dead show, right? And so, yeah, the place looks really incredible here. And it looks like Daryl and Paz actually find them. And then, a bunch of stuff is going to go down here. So we do see Justina, and she's actually, she's trapped here. And so at one point in the trailer, we actually do see Daryl run up to her. And so Daryl actually finds Justina. And so I'm really curious as to how this is all going to play out here. Is he actually going to save her in this episode? Because, I mean, it's going to build to the finale in some way. And I'm just trying to picture how this is all going to play out. Like, does he just save her and then they all travel back to, I guess, Salas del Mar, right? And then maybe Alcazar goes after them and then there's a battle there in the finale. Like, that's the only thing I can really see happening here, is that there's somewhat of a happy ending here in this episode, just to sort of take it away or do something really crazy for the finale to end on a cliffhanger to really build up a lot of hype for season 4, which is the final season. And so I'm assuming that there is going to be somewhat of a happy ending here. Like, I don't know if a character is going to die in episode 6. Like, does Paz die in this episode? I don't think so. It's really hard to say which characters I see dying, because Paz, I would have said before the season started, no, definitely not. But at this point, she hasn't had a big part in the story, and I can kind of see it potentially, at least by the finale, right? Like, maybe she's a big death in the finale because they're giving her a big episode here in episode 6, where we're going to meet the character, know a lot more about her, and then maybe she dies in the finale, and it's really, really heartbreaking, right? So I could see them doing something like that. I think that Justina for sure is going to be saved here. And I just feel like Justina and Roberto are going to reunite at least one more time. And I do think that Justina or Roberto is going to die this season. And I do think it's going to be Roberto because of the state that he's in right now. Or maybe it's almost both of them, because it really does feel like it's going to come down to that. I would say like both of the characters die, or like one character basically dies. Like maybe Justina dies and then Roberto can't really, I guess, live without her, and so he dies just because, right now, they sort of mentioned in episode 5 that he's, like, in the state of limbo, like, there's, like, the will to live, and he's, like, losing that, or I guess it's more like, giving up and then, like, wanting to be alive, and so he's kind of stuck in the middle right now, and so maybe something really tragic happens where Justina dies, and then Roberto just loses the will to live, and then he's kind of gone, right? Like, I could see that being something here that happens in the finale, and it's going to be something really heartbreaking. And that's why I think my predictions for episode 6 is specifically that I think, it's going to be more of a happy kind of episode where Daryl actually saves Justina and they do make it back. And there's a lot of damage that happens here to El Alcazar, because you do see a lot of shots here in the trailer where you actually do see El Alcazar getting attacked here. And so we do see the king here. Well, I guess the next king of Spain, right? Like, I keep forgetting that they mentioned that he's going to be the next king. And so Daryl actually says that here, like, we can save whoever and then you can take him out kind of thing. And so I wonder if he's going to die in this episode. Probably not. Like, I actually wonder if he's going to be the villain of season 4, or is it the actual king? Like, do we not know who the king is yet? Or maybe, like, you know what I mean? So I don't know how all this is working out. I don't know how this place is going to operate overall. And I guess we're going to learn a lot about that in episode 6 here. But a lot of stuff is going to happen here. We actually do see a character with like a bazooka, basically. And so that reminded me of Daryl with the bazooka, just because I literally just talked about that in my review. And then I saw that and I was like, oh, wow, that actually really reminded me of that. I think it's actually going to be a really good episode. And I do think that it's going to end in a happy way where Daryl does save Justina. They're going back and it just feels more hopeful and that they got away. But the finale is there. There's one more episode left, and I just think that something bad is obviously going to happen there, right? Now, Carol is in this trailer here, and so, I do wonder what's going to happen with all of that, and I think that's why they're going to end up going back to Salas del Mar, is because Carol is lying to Fede about what's happening with El Alcazar and, like, Roberto and Justina, right? And so I think this episode's really just going to kind of get into some of that, and that she'll learn a little bit more of what's happening. She'll probably try to, stop him from finding out certain things. And then really that's probably going to be it. And really, I don't see a lot happening from that storyline, but I do see, all that building up to the finale here. And that story actually really mattering when, you know, everyone goes back there, and just how happy things could really be, I guess. Like maybe the episode ends, like episode 6 ends with Daryl making it back with Justina and things are a little bit more hopeful. And then like, that's it. Or maybe it doesn't really end like that. But in the beginning of episode 7, like the finale, we do see maybe Daryl just shows up with Justina and then everything's happy and then something really bad happens, right? Like it's going to be something crazy, I think. I do think there's going to be a really big battle here and a lot of deaths here. And so we'll have to wait and see how that builds to the final season. But it is likely going to be something really heartbreaking like that. So that's kind of my general predictions for the episode, to be honest. So yeah, I'm going to leave it here. I will say that, you know, overall, I really am a big fan of this season so far. I think the fact that episode 5 was the best one is really interesting. I feel like the finale might be maybe a better episode. Episode 6 could be better, like more exciting because there's a lot of stuff happening, like characters dying and all of that. But I think that obviously looking back at episode 5, it was just a really cool story, like just on its own, like Daryl in the desert trying to survive, right? Like it was really cool. So yeah, I'm excited for episode 6 here. Definitely post all your thoughts down below and your predictions for the episode. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.